3 years. 3 years I've been trapped in this world, and somehow I'm still alive. In that time, I've crossed floating islands, climbed vines taller than mountains, survived storms that sound like the sky is ripping itself apart. I've seen things that should only exist in dreams or nightmares. But yesterday was different. I was deep in the woods, farther than I'd ever gone before. The trees were packed so tight together, barely any light reached the ground. Everything smelled damp, rotten. And then I saw them. Two white eyes floating in the dark, 5 meters away. They didn't blink, didn't move. They just stared. My whole body locked up, my chest tightening, my breathing shallow. I hadn't felt fear like this since the day I arrived in this world. And then it made that sound. Like bones snapping together. Like joints bending the wrong way. The sound bounced through the forest until it felt like the woods themselves were making it. And then the eyes disappeared. That's the worst part about not understanding something. Your mind starts trying to finish the picture. Those eyes faced forward, predator eyes. So instantly my brain started building the rest of it around them. Big body, long teeth, heavy enough to shake the ground when it walks. Then my mind made it worse. Maybe it had multiple jaws. Maybe there was clicking noises where its teeth snapping together. Maybe it was huge and I just couldn't see the rest of it between the trees. I started imagining long arms hanging between branches, white eyes staring down at me from above. Something tall enough to move through the forest canopy instead of on the ground. Every night it grew larger in my head. Smarter too. More impossible. That's what fear does. When you can't see the monster, your imagination keeps building one until it becomes bigger than anything real could ever be. I heard the clicking again and ran towards it. Stupid idea, I know. But I needed to see what this thing really was before my imagination turned it into a god. When I reached the sound, there was nothing there. Just feathers, dark purple, and deep scratches carved into a tree. No footprints. That somehow made it worse, because now my brain started changing the creature again. Maybe it could fly. Maybe it didn't walk at all. Maybe it was sitting above me the entire time and I just never looked up. For weeks after that, the scratches kept appearing around my camp, closer every morning, like something was circling me, watching me, learning me. I stopped sleeping properly. Every noise outside my tent made my heart jump. Sometimes I'd wake up convinced I could hear breathing outside. Other nights I thought I saw those eyes between the trees. And every single night, the creature in my head became bigger. At one point I convinced myself it had wings large enough to block out the sky. Then I imagined 6 legs, then claws long enough to carve through trees like paper. I even started wondering if it was intelligent. Not animal intelligent, human intelligent. Because something dumb doesn't stalk you for weeks. Something dumb doesn't stay hidden. Eventually, I got sick of being afraid. So I made a spear and walked into the forest. No plan, just anger. I shouted into the trees, demanding it to come out. At first, nothing happened. No clicking, no movement, nothing. Then the forest went silent. No wind, no insects, nothing. And somehow, The silence scared me more than the noise ever did. I looked towards a hill nearby. At first I thought it was a fallen tree. Then it stood up. Slowly. Something unfolded from the darkness, one leg pressing into the dirt, then another, and then another. 6 legs. Long, silent, built perfectly for moving through the forest unseen. Its front half was covered in thick black fur, but the back looked almost hairless, grey skin stretched tightly over muscle. 3 ears twitched independently on top of its head. Its face looked wrong, somewhere between a skull and a beak, and underneath, small tentacles moved slowly through the air. Then it lifted its head, and the eyes caught the light, those same glowing white eyes, unblinking, looked directly onto me. And in that moment, every monster I'd imagined died instantly. Because the real thing wasn't some giant god hiding in the woods. It wasn't endless, it wasn't unknowable. It was real, alive, a creature this world actually made. And somehow that terrified me more, because the real thing was worse. Not because it looked monstrous, but because it looked possible, real, like nature had genuinely created this thing, like it belonged here. It stared at me silently, not growling, not preparing to attack, just watching.